abrupt stop to the intro. Good evening, everybody. It's Nighthawk. I decided to come out here at 10 o'clock on the East Coast and talk about a few things tonight. Eric will probably be joining us after he's done with the podcast with DA. But I wanted to come on a little early. We got to go over a few things here before we get into the meat of the substance of tonight. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be able to go on talking tonight, so just bear with me, okay? All right, copyright disclaimer is this channel may use some copyrighted material without specific authorization of the owner, but contends that it falls under the Fair Use Act, which is the Copyright Act of 1976. Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast channel and all the podcasts on the channel declare fair use of any and all content, including the music, to be used for the sole purpose of informing you, the viewing family, of information for educational purposes, criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, parody, and general knowledge only. And let's not forget the entertainment value. Under Section 17, subsection 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, which is otherwise known as the Fair Use Act. Okay, let me take that off of there and say hello to everybody in the chat, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of it. How many people saw this is just a question out there. How many of us out there saw the news about the executive for Boeing being shot by his own hand gun, which they never found a gun on the scene? I'm just curious if anybody else got that information out there. Hello, Melissa, Gemini Moon, Juno, brother, good to see you. Anna, good to see you. Roger, good to see you. And like I said before, please bear with me. Be patient because it's a struggle. I'm struggling to breathe. So, but yeah, there's so much going on in this world, and I just, I felt the need to come on after, especially what I dreamt last night. You could call it one of those fitful dreams that us Native people have. It was very, very eye-opening. I'll explain it to you. This is why I wanted to come on tonight. This morning I couldn't. I could barely focus my vision this morning, and it's getting progressively worse. But that is neither here nor there. The vision that I had in the dreamland, we call it dreamland, some call it dreamscape. I was walking amongst the stars, and the stars and the constellations and everything, and I had a vision in the dream of seeing this huge lion with this beautiful golden mane, just really beautiful, and on its head was a crown. And that crown was made of gold and silver with rubies around it. And it had 7 spires on top of it, like a crown had 7 of them. And next thing I know, I'm standing on the edge of the ocean. I guess it was an ocean. It could have been a lake. But I was standing on a beach. And out of the water, I could see this lion coming towards me out of the water, and it changed into a blood red dragon. It wasn't good, let's just say. This dragon tried to basically kill me 6 different times, and something kept on protecting me. And finally, this blood red dragon broke off into 3 separate cats, mountain lions type, or female lionesses, or whatever you want to call them. That kind of a cat with no mane, and all three of them attacked me. Um, Needless to say, it was a very, very eye-opening and a very, very sweat-worthy dream. But I don't have dreams per se. I have hints to what's going to happen. And I've shared them on here before. Like the time I had that vision outside of going through the sun and seeing all my ancestors and my relatives that have crossed over before me, and all of our dogs and stuff that I had over the years crossed over before me. So I had that vision I shared a while ago. But this dream, I literally felt blood draining from my body. That's how real this dream felt. Okay. Now I'm not one to worry about things, but I was given that dream for a reason. Hello, Woo Rider, Vixen Doe, Sue, good to see you. Helen, good to see you. David, good to see you, brother. And Juno, good to see you. Um, yeah, we whenever we have things like this happen, it's something significant that happens in our lives, and I don't know if it has something to do with the Antichrist um, coming into power. But when I woke up this morning, I literally couldn't focus my vision. I knew I couldn't do the podcast, so that's why I'm here tonight. Anyways, that's the extent of the dream that I remember. The protection over me was it felt very powerful, very strong, very strong willed. So it basically made me duck and cover every time the dragon came at me. Um, but I couldn't escape the three cats. Um, so I saw my death, basically, is what I'm saying. Um, but I'm not one to I'm not one to take dreams lightly or visions lightly, because I've had them my whole life, and this is just another one I've got to figure out. And I just hope I don't figure it out when it's too late. Um, but yeah, I'm guessing it has to do with the Antichrist. Norm, good to see you, brother. Um, it's just it's one thing to see the way the world's going today, and as frustrating as it gets, and how much you want to help people out that you can't even help yourself. Um, all the brutality of war, and rumors of war. Um, it just amazes me the way things are going today. It really does. Um, it's almost like we got a bunch of high school punks running the countries that are trying to show who can drive the faster car or who can beat up the other person the best. Why do we elect idiots in these positions? It's beyond me. And they're all idiots. And I'm not just talking our illustrious, well, you know what I mean. But right down the row, right down the line, every one of them, it's no good. Something's got to give before our world breaks to a point to where we can't remain here. You got all these elitists building these bunkers 6, 7 feet, 8 feet underground, filling them with all the food where you wonder where the food's going in the grocery stores. It's because we're getting the shit that they don't want. They're getting all the good stuff. all the good bottled water, all the good steak, all the good this, that, the good, you know, survival food, nutrients and stuff like that, all the medications. Where do you think all that's going? It's going in their bunker. Okay. It's just, it gets to the point where we need to really wake up. There's a everybody talks about the flood story in the Bible and all that, and you know, I know a lot of you know this, and from listening to me, but we've been lied to our whole lives. We've been lied to by people that we trusted, that we thought were looking out for us. Um, and in actuality, they weren't. They were looking out for themselves. And I'm talking about our leaders, our elected leaders, whether it's local, state, federal, White House, whatever you want to do, whether it's school board. I mean, our illustrious leaders that we vote for have lied to us our entire lives. They indoctrinated us in their schools. Get the child early so you can brainwash them and tell them the rest of the world's evil. When in actuality, that child gets in the military and finds out, yeah, there is evil in the world, but it's not necessarily the people where we're at. So David knows, Melissa knows, Norm, you know exactly what I'm saying. But there is a learning that we're supposed to do in this world. Okay, we're supposed to recognize certain things. Um, and yes, Hollywood, somebody in Hollywood is looking out for us because they put hints of it in every movie that comes out, of what we need to do or what's going on. You know, there's so much that I have found over the years of researching and investigating and looking into things, at all hours of the night and the morning. Um, I don't even know where to begin. Um, it seems like every, say, 4,000 years or so, that civilization, as far as humanity goes, comes to a point to where it is the as far as it will go without destroying itself. And this is a cycle that's been repeated over and over and over again throughout history. They lied to us about dinosaurs. They lied to us about humans being around with dinosaurs. That's a lie. Okay, we were around. They lied to us saying that this is our world and we need to take care of it. When in actuality, our species isn't even from this world. Okay, the original inhabitants of this world are the reptilians. They are descendants of the dinosaurs. And I know that's kind of weird to say, but the dinosaur in the old days, in the days of King Arthur and all that, they were called dragons. So, some of them were around, just several hundred years ago. Okay. Take the Thunderbird, perfect example. The depictions of the Thunderbird, a basically huge pterosaur, a flying dinosaur, a pterosaur, pterodactyl, whatever you want to call it. We have things happening all the time around us. And everybody in the chat knows they've seen things, they've experienced things that they can't really understand, but yet they know they saw it or they heard it. Um, that is what the culmination of everything is coming to. That is the what's going to happen is the explosion, okay, of the spirituality that we're looking for in this life. Um, Never been one to worry. Never been one to deny my faith. Even though I am Native American, I don't deny that I am Native American. I don't deny I have ancestors that are medicine men and medicine people and warriors. But at the same time, we got to realize that religion wasn't created by God. It was created by man to separate man. You have the Catholics that don't like the Greek Orthodox. You got the Baptists that don't like the Lutheran. You got the Lutheran that don't like the, you know, this, that. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Another separation. And that separation was caused back in 328 BCE by the then Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. He is the same Pope that basically very deceptively removed certain books out of the Bible, okay, in 328 BCE. The Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilee, the Book of Peter, the Book of Giants, and on and on and on. A lot of books. The Book of Judas. Yes, religion was created to separate us from our Creator. That is correct, Vixen. You're right. I'd even go even farther than that, though. I don't want to offend anybody, okay? So just this is just interpretation of what I've been finding out, okay? Basically, we have a very short time to make things right, to make things, to give credit where credit's due. Do you know that they took the name of God out of the Bible over 6,000 times and replaced it with the word Lord? Everywhere it says Lord in the Bible, in the King James Version or the other versions, every time it says Lord, they removed our Father's name. Okay. And just very recently, I realized that, that they have just, you see, the problem with the Bible is it was taken away from the Aramaic text and put into a Greek form. And a lot of times the Greek form and the Latin words didn't really jive together with the actual meaning of whatever was meant in the Bible. Okay. They should have left the text alone completely and just let people discern from it the way it was written. But they couldn't. They couldn't let certain things out, certain things about our world, certain things that we weren't supposed to forget that were written in the book. But needless to say, the elitists get their way again. I was on Eric's podcast earlier today with several of you, and every civilization in the world has a flood story, a story of the flood, and our story of the flood and our story of a constellation um, is one that connects our world with giants and giant trees stretching all the way up into the heavens. The world that we're living in right now is a world built on top of another civilization, and so on and so on. And that is why we're finding out certain things now. We're waking up, and it's going to be a good thing, hopefully, and not a bad thing. But it might be a little too late. You see, we've got a bunch of people that think that they know what their citizens, that their people of their countries want or need, and they're wrong. The leaders of the world today, and I'll say this, they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. And that goes all the way from Putin on down to old trip 'em upstairs Joe. Um, they really don't. They don't have our best interest at heart. It's up to us. It's up to us. Yeah, Sue, that was a dream. That was it's something to see, but you know, the timing of it made me feel like, well, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, okay? I haven't had the greatest time keeping food down, okay? It's about how polite I can make it. Um, and it's getting worse. So that vision that I had, that dream, I reached out my hand and I could see my arm and my hand in front of my body like this, reaching up to something. And then it just went dark. Everything didn't happen in one day in that vision, okay? It happened over a period of time. And from what I saw in that vision was a period of 6 months. Um, so I'm guessing that I have about 6 months left. So wife Tracy's taking Jacob out for a walk. Hope there's no dogmen out there or Bigfoot. I listened to our good friend Corey today on Eric's podcast, and you know, he's experiencing things, and some the people that he knows are experiencing things. The ones that are sensitive to the paranormal or to the supernatural, even to the cryptids, the ones that see these things most of the time, or see strange things, or experiencing strange things most of the time, those are the people that are going to be most affected over the next 6 months, because it's going to ramp up. It's going to ramp up so much. And as I say that, a wisp goes right across in front of me in the room. Um, our world was told that we were told that our world was created by a big bang. There's no way that science can confirm that. I don't care what they say. They say at one time there wasn't giants that roamed the earth. I call them liars. And the Smithsonian's probably the biggest one of them all. I haven't seen things, only sensed and heard. Mm, yeah. Yeah. Well, you'll be amazed at how well the pets will be around you when you're on the other side. What's David saying? Look at the difference between blue states and red states now. Blue states are becoming more. Yeah, yeah. And you know what though? It's not only the politics. It's not if you're red or if you're blue. I don't give a shit if you're pink, purple, and red polka dots. I don't care. Um, Politics separates us. Religions separate us. Borders, and don't get me going on borders. I know we need help on the border. I know. But even here in Virginia, where we live and where David lives and Melissa lives, you got to ask yourselves who started all the wildfires around here? There wasn't any lightning storms. The ground wasn't that dry and brittle that a lightning hit it and hit a tree or something and it caught on fire. Not that many. You see, here in our state, if it wasn't for the rainfall we had overnight and into the morning here, drenching and soaking the ground, which is how the Creator handles things like people that set wildfires. Unless it's something, unless you're living in a Sodom and Gomorrah type of a of a state. Um, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody who lives in California or New York. Okay. Um, but they have been labeled the new Sodom and Gomorrah. So, and the new Babylon. But it's like an old teaching that my father used to tell me. You know that our world is such a different world every generation. Um, each generation is different from the last, and it's up to the generation before previous to teach the other generation, and about things that they've seen and things that they've experienced and all that. And I'm talking more on a spiritual level. Um, about the closest thing I can say to people when they doubt that giants exist and that trees that were once 365 feet tall, as big around as a house, um, touching the sky literally. Um, some trees were even thousands of feet tall. And the reason I know that is because of the story of the moon and the story of the flood. Okay. Um, my ancestors, my father told me since I was young about the flood story. There were these seven boys, seven young men, young warriors, aging from like 10 to 20 some years old. And they went out hunting one day. And these seven boys lived by themselves. They had no family to help them out. They just basically took care of themselves. And they went out hunting one day and they came across this beautiful, beautiful native woman singing and she had this huge big lodge, teepee lodge that was beautiful. It was huge. It seemed like when you went in it, it was even twice the size as it was on the outside. Anyways, these seven boys, basically seven young men, decided they wanted to marry this woman after a period of time. Well, then the ground started to rumble and shake. It was the Buffalo Nation. The buffalo herds, as thick as you could see them. You could walk on their backs from horizon to horizon. It was such a huge nation of buffalo. And the leader of the buffalo spoke to the young men and said, "You can't have her. For we, the Buffalo Nation, we wish to marry her and make her part of our nation." And these seven boys, seven young men, grabbed their bows and their arrows and were willing to fight for her, even though they were outnumbered by 1,000,000 to 1. And the youngest of the boys, he was a special one. He had a gift, and his gift was with his arrows. Whenever he pierced a tree or something with his arrows, that would grow. While the youngest of the seven boys takes back his bow and he shoots one of his arrows into the closest pole pine tree he could find next to the teepee. And it grows. It gets real big, and all the brothers and the native woman get on the branches of the tree, and the youngest one is the last one to get on, and he gets on, and it shows the Buffalo Nation coming around trying to hit their horns into the tree and knocking the bark off the tree and all that. And the boy takes another arrow and he shoots it into a branch of a tree, and it gets even taller and taller and taller until that tree with that boy's arrows stretched from the earth to the stars. And the seven young men and the one beautiful young native woman were part of the stars from there on. They say you can look up in the sky and you'll see the seven stars, which is the seven brothers. And the one little faint star off to the side is that youngest brother that arrows saved all the boys' lives. And the reason I bring up that story is because we're hearing a lot about the mud fossil university or whatever you want to call it. And Eric's into the giants thing, and so am I. I believe giants. The Cherokees believed in giants. They had stories about them jumping from a mountaintop to a mountaintop chasing their people. So I don't see why there wouldn't be. We don't have these stories just to have stories. These stories are meant to teach us in our lives as children. They're meant to teach us to be humble, to be brave, to have fortitude, to stay strong. You know, but we wouldn't have these stories about these trees growing to be thousands upon thousands of feet tall, reaching up into the stars, and then Native Americans becoming stars for anything. It's like the ghost story. The Abenaki have a story, and I always thought, well, maybe, just maybe, it was them talking about, the Vikings, like Leif Erikson and all that came over here way back before Columbus. But no, it wasn't. It wasn't the Vikings. The Abenaki, there was this giant of a man, a wilderness man, they called him, Big Brother, um, stood 10 to 12 feet tall. His name was Kuliskoff, and Kuliskoff was the best hunter, the best fighter, the best everything, you know, out of every man, especially the men from other tribes that were in the area, the Algonquin, the Seneca, the Mohawk, the Oneida, the Tuscarora. The Abenakis story of Kuloskov and his little friend Otter. Otter was just a small, thin, frail little thing, scared of his own shadow. Well, one day Kuloskov went out to hunt and took Otter with him to try and make him into something that he's not, which was brave. Um, and they were around the campfire at night, and it was getting, it was dark and all that, and the fire was starting to die down a little bit. So Kuloskov throws another tree on the fire, and flames roared up, and then next thing out from the shadows comes this white ghost, and this white ghost is flying all around, chasing Kuloskov and Otter, trying to scare them. And Kuloskov just looked at it and laughed, and Otter looked at it and he basically trembled in fright. Then out come a green ghost, a blue ghost, a red ghost that spat its teeth upon the ground. And Kuloskov just laughed. He said, "I'm Kuloskov. I'm the strongest of the warriors, and I fear nothing." And Otter, by that time, he was hiding behind a bush shaking, and you could see the bush shake. And Kuloskov stood there, and he grabbed the red ghost that spat his teeth on the ground. He grabbed the green ghost, and he vanished them. He grabbed the white ghost and the blue ghost and the gray ghost, and everyone that he struck, he got rid of, and they vanished in the blink of an eye, to where there was only Kuloskov and Otter left. And the woods were quiet except for the crackling of the fire, you know. And there was this really, really small, frail looking ghost, little baby ghost, little white baby ghost. And he thought to himself, there's Kuloskov. If I scare him, I can get a reputation of being the best ghost there is. So Kuloskop looked at, as he heard, because he had good hearing, Kuloskop heard the little ghost say that. And as the remainder of the ghosts were standing around in the shadows, this little baby ghost comes out to scare Kuloskop. And Kuloskop looked at the baby ghost, and he got down with Otter behind the bush in fright, and he pretended to be afraid. And that little ghost, the pride welled up in its chest, and he just strutted his stuff over past all the other big ghosts, terrifying ghosts, and said, I scared Kuloskop, something that you could not do. And the little baby ghost was happy he was leaving, and Kuloskop came out from behind the bush, and Otter asked him, why did you do that? And Kuloskop answered him and said, Otter, sometimes it's good to make big things of little things. That story has stuck with me since my father first told me that. Um, Others can tell it better than I can, but that's what that's kind of like that story tells me that we haven't come far enough. We have so much more to learn and to go and experience in this world, and we're letting these ghosts, these little insignificant ghosts, run our lives. Tell us what to eat, tell us what to wear, tell us what to believe, tell us who to pray to. Why do we let them? In the short time I've got left in this world, I wanted to talk about this for the longest time. Um, there was a while ago, before I got cancer. Um, this young man came into the store that I worked at, where I was the manager, and manager by accident too. Trust me, that's a whole nother story. um, but anyways, he come in and he saw that I was having a rough day, because didn't want to be manager, especially that store. But they couldn't find anybody, so I was dealing with irate customers and stuff all the time. Anybody who's dealt in retail, they know when they deal in retail, you got to get the good with the bad. And but this young man saw me, and he knew I was fit to be tied. Basically, is how to put it. He asked me. He goes, you want to pray. He was a youth pastor for a church, and I said no. I said I pray all the time. I said there's not a moment of the day that the thoughts of prayers don't go through my head. And to have that thing of gratitude, that feeling of gratitude for being here. um, after he left, I felt like I had denied Christ by doing that. Okay, until I figured out through every research and talking to others that that wasn't the case, because basically, the location and stuff at the time, and the way the Bible was changed, that you know Yeshua is the name of God. Okay, and that's the name that you got to write on the doors, top of the doors of your home during the 3 days of darkness, to bless your home and your family that's inside. They also the Catholic Church is pushing the blessed candles to burn and rosary beads and all this. I'm not Catholic, okay, but I do respect everybody that's Catholic, because everybody has their own theory on things. But I am spiritual, and when I heard Eric say that tonight on his podcast, I'm not religious, I'm just spiritual. That's pretty much what we all need to think like. Um, I'm not saying one world, one religion. No, God, no, no, no. And I'm not saying that at all. I don't want to be put in that category of he's talking about, what the Antichrist is going to do, and make everybody have one religion, which is going to be worshiping the Antichrist. Um, I can just tell you that the things that I've been studying lately, have really opened my eyes. Okay. Yes, the Pallades. Yes, you're right, Vixen. You're absolutely right. Um, Getting back to the story of the Buffalo Nation wanting to steal the young lady. Um, you know how the Mud Fossil University guy. If you guys haven't seen it, I suggest you go and you look it up on Facebook and just watch a couple of his things, because it's pretty eye opening. I have to agree with Eric on that. It's a very eye opening. Um, but there's so many things that they don't tell us, that they don't want us to know. And who are they? Well, yeah, who are they? Everybody talks about the shadow government. I've talked about the shadow government. I've talked about, the military industrial complex, on several podcasts, and I've had my own experience dealing with them while in the military. Very demanding people, let me tell you, very demanding. Um, think that they're always right and think that they're in charge. But they're going to find out very soon that they're not in charge very soon. But, anyways, the whole purpose of this is sometimes we need to have somebody help us open our eyes, and open our ears and see the way the world's going. And the direction that it's going is not good at all. And I do believe that that's why I had that dream. And I do believe I was supposed to talk about it. But I couldn't do it this morning. That's why I'm coming on tonight. Anyways, the gist of everything is that we need to experience everything with an open mind and an open heart. We need to be as humble and as low as water, yet strong enough when water comes together at full force, it can move mountains. Yeah. Back in the old days, I used to say this a lot in some of the teachings and the lectures that I used to do when I was younger. I did quite a few lectures on Native American life, and one of them was, I would talk about how a squirrel could go up a tree in the Isle of Manhattan and not come down to the ground and just bound from tree to tree to tree until it got to the Mississippi River. And then when it got to Mississippi River, it could literally walk on the backs of the trout and the fish that were in the river, on the backs of the fish, and not get its paws wet. You know, that's the kind of world that I would want to live in. You know, the world today is deceitful and it's evil. Okay. And it's evil because Yeshua basically told Lucifer, Satan, that he was not only the prince of this world, but he was the God of this world. And I say it all the time. Be careful who you're praying to. I don't pray to Mary. I respect Mary for being Jesus's mom, and I respect Mary Magdalene for being one of Jesus', disciples. I respect Noah. I mean, there's nothing out of the Bible that I don't respect, but I don't look at it as a certain religion. Because to me, our God, our creator, created the most beautiful cathedral to be in and share with him and pray with him. It's the Cathedral of the Pines, the Cathedral of the Mountains. You know, anybody ever wants to realize how powerful the Creator is, just watch the sunrise or watch the sunset. We have a couple things coming up a lot of people are worried about, and that is the eclipse, the 3 days of darkness. But what they're not really talking about is how that ties into the Bible. Okay. And it does tie into the Bible. It's one of the signs that there are several of the biblical referenced um, towns that are in the Bible are in the path of this solar eclipse coming up. Okay. Hey, Glades creatures, War Criminal 7. Good to see you. Good to see you. Um, Everybody's talking about the eclipse, but what they're not talking about is that the same direction that the eclipse is coming from like Rochester on down through Ohio, down into it's actually a fault line. Did you know that the exact path that is supposed to travel, where everybody's supposed to be seeing it and looking at it in the glasses and having the National Guard called out because of some biological threat? That is a fault line. Back in 1811, that fault went off a 7.2. Okay, back in 1811, it's recorded. Okay, one of the first recordings of the earthquakes. Now, there is a comet. Yeah, a comet that could either come into our atmosphere. Well, actually, no, it's not a comet. It's an asteroid. Excuse me. Okay, an asteroid that's coming. And you know what its name is? The devil. Kind of like the horns I got right here. Anyways, those are eyeballs. Yeah, it's called the devil. So you have a path of a solar eclipse that's following a fault line that the last time it went off, it killed 135 people. And, back in 1811, the exact path of the solar eclipse. Then you got the comet coming in. Everybody wonders why is everybody building bunkers that are billionaires? Why are all these multimillionaires and billionaires building bunkers? Because they're scared. Okay, they're scared. They think that their little bunkers are going to keep them safe below ground. But when you have an asteroid coming at the planet that's over 6 miles in width, in girth, and God knows how many megatons that would be of explosive if it hit the Earth. It's supposed to be a close one. So maybe that has something to do with it. I would say that between the asteroid and the dropping of the nukes, I would say that that's the reason why all these elitists that tell us how to live our lives are hiding underground like scared mice. That's what they are, scared mice. Not only do we have that asteroid coming, all in the month of April, okay, but we have on the 25th of this month a lunar eclipse. Have you heard about that? So on the 25th of this month, we have the lunar eclipse, which is in the Bible, okay? We have the solar eclipse on April 8th. So it'll go 7, 8, 9 for the 3 days of darkness, okay? Yeah, Juno, you're right, brother. It's an extinction level event. You are right. Um, there's there's so many things that this is in reference to. Even the Hopi, you know, they have prophecies, of the end of days and the great shakening. Which what do you call an earthquake? When you got a solar eclipse following a fault line right down through the center of the United States, and you got all these cities and towns calling out the National Guard because they're worried about a biological threat. I mean, what more bull can we put on the fire? You know? Well, okay, solar eclipse on the 25th, lunar eclipse on the 25th, solar eclipse on the 7th, 8th, and 9th, possible earthquake, Euphrates rivers drying up. You see where I'm going with this? These are all prophesied in the Bible. Okay? This is what they don't want you to know. It's all prophesied in the Bible. Okay? I don't claim to be the best religious studied person, or biblical studies person, but I do know some of the Bible. And when God said that he laid our world on a foundation that could not be moved, corner to corner, to me that's not a globe. So that's a whole nother story. But yeah, we've got the 25th. So I don't know if anybody out there is Wiccan and all that, or pagan and religion or all that, but you got the lunar eclipse on the 25th. You've got the solar eclipse on the 7th, 8th, and 9th, which is technically going to be 3 days of darkness, which 3 days of darkness is a Catholic vision that the children had about seeing Mary and all that, and an angel coming and telling them about it, and you know, and then you got the possible earthquake, and God knows what else. Why the National Guard's called out, I have no idea. But they say there's going to be a biological threat, then that's going to be a biological threat. Mr. Saturn One, good to see you. Good to see you, man. Um, you know, it's just it just strikes me funny that yep, that's true. Hey Griff, good to see you. Um, it just struck me funny that yes, it's a Catholic. The 3 days of darkness is a Catholic prophecy, but I mean, who's to say that the prophecy is not a sound one? I mean, we have prophecies from the Hopi, from the Lakota, from the you know the Cherokee. I mean, every Native American tribe has a prophecy of how everything's going to end, and it's all pretty much the same. So, but anyways, I've taken up enough time for everybody. Just be careful. Remember that when you pray to the God in heaven. Um, Make sure you make that known, because the way the Bible is set up, it's deceiving us a little bit. Like I said in the beginning, they took the name of God out of the Bible at least 6,000 times and replaced it with the Greek word for Lord. Okay. So Yahuwah is the name of God. That's the name that all the Hebrews wrote upon their door in the first plague outbreak in Egypt, when the locust and the death of the firstborn sons and all that. Um, I'm take it for what it's worth. Okay, like I said, I'm not a great historian or a storyteller or anything like that. I'm just me, and I try to pass on information, especially from things that I envision. Um, because walking in both worlds, like I've always said that walking in both worlds, it kind of, yep, you're right, Sue James. Yep. Yeah, that's right, Juno. That's right. Thank you for that. Yeah, now you see TV. If you guys want to check it out on YouTube or Facebook, just type in now you see TV, and apparently Juno says that they got something about all this. I'm just a messenger. So um, that's why I have the name Hawk in my name. So don't kill the messenger, folks. Okay. But I want to thank everybody for being here. If you can, like, heart, and share this out, even though it's just a chat that I had with you guys. I felt bad about not coming on this morning, but I couldn't do it this morning, so that's why I'm coming on tonight. But anyways, I wanted to, say thank you to everybody. You can like, heart, and share this out as much as you can. Smash that like button until it falls off. Um, if you want to help out the channel, um, there's super stickers and stuff you can buy on YouTube, or you can, I don't know, you can probably go through my GoFundMe and all that, or Tracy's GoFundMe. Trying to raise money to get her car fixed the right way. uh, Never said I was a mechanic, folks. But I did a pretty good job. Car ran perfect for about 2 weeks, if that, and then it just quit. But that's a whole another story. But anyways, I want to thank everybody tonight for being here. Glades Creatures, much love to you too, man. Sue and David and Melissa and everybody, Juno, Roy, everybody, War Criminal. It's just, I needed to tell you all this, okay? Before I'm not here to say it anymore. Okay? Just in this world you got to be careful. Okay? Sometimes you got to take things with a grain of salt. Sometimes you got to take things being really thick-skinned and not thin-skinned. So, but I'll see you all in the morning at 11 a.m. for coffee with me and Eric, and we'll call it a wrap. Okay, guys. I'm uh, I'm not doing too good, so I'm just gonna take what breath I have left and try to sleep. So, but just remember, our world is a lot more than what they want us to believe. Um, they hide things from us, and they always will hide things from us. So, trust and believe, everybody. Trust and believe. Yahuwah. I'll see you in the morning. Thank you, everybody.